What's up guys, Blake Hawthorne, it's his turf here. I want to take a few minutes to talk about 10 key points of additional services that you can do to keep your business from going dormant when the grass is. So one of the obvious things that you can do this time of year with your lawn care company is to do leaf removal. I got some of my crews out here working on one of the condos, and this is one of the basic services that we offer as the grass goes dormant and the leaves start to fall, is fall leaf removal. An additional service that we like to offer is the sprinkler winterizations and startups. This will typically run the customer $75 for the winterization, $75 for the setup in the spring. And so for the fall service, you're going to be doing the winterization. Most of our systems that are here on the lakes, they will have a union at the disconnect on the intake foot line, and then also on the discharge going to the main line of the system. This we will disconnect, and then you have this plug that's here at the bottom that you'll actually open that allows everything to drain out. What we do next is we'll go to the valves and we'll open those valves manually so that everything will start to drain centrifugally. We'll turn the system off and go ahead and just have everything shut down for the winter until we come back in and set it up in the spring. In the city of Hot Springs, if it's on an RPZ, we have to have a certified plumber to come in and work on those and do the inspection. So one thing that we're looking to do this next year is to get a compressor, leave those things stationary, blow all the lines out so that there's no water left in the device and the customers won't have that reconnect fee and inspection fee that the plumbers charge. Okay, so one upsell that we offer our clients in October is coming in and replenishing their annuals. We like to swap them out with pansies. These are a cool wave pansy. They'll actually drape and cascade over a pot or over the wall, over the edge of a flower bed. We also do arrangements for porches, doing mums and ornamental cabbage, bales of straw, and just different things that we can to spruce it up and add some color in fall when everything else is going dormant, turning brown. This is a nice way to just spruce it up, liven it up. Another service that we do is we blow the roof and the gutters. They were doing it just a little while ago, getting all the leaves down before they started cleaning them up off the property. This is an upsell. Typically we'll charge $60 just to get up on the ladder, and then we charge $65 an hour after that. And typically if the steepness of the roof gets worse, then we charge more. Alright guys, so another service that you can offer is going to be trimming and cleaning up bushes. It's really easy to let these things get overgrown just in the hecticness of season, and usually if you're not paying attention, then your customer's not either, if it's not part of their contract. So get in there, trim up some overgrown bushes, get everything like a nice fall cleanup, get everything looking good, and get on to the next service. Another thing that we do in our upsells of our 12-month contracts is we offer the winterization of water features. So what we'll do on like our small catch basins and standalone features is we'll come in and we'll drain the pond, disconnect the pump, make sure the lines are all drained, kind of winterize it. On our larger ponds like this, we literally just leave the pump in, and as long as it's above freezing, we can continue to run it. Yes, that's ice and that's water, but everything's running, it's above freezing, there's no damage done to it. On some of our larger pumps and stuff that hold the water, this pump actually drains, the whole line drains when it turns off. But some of our centrifugal pumps that actually are pulling from the pond and pumping through, that hold that water year round, we have to drain those out, and then sometimes we'll even add antifreeze if it's approved by the customer. So you do this one of two ways. You can kind of just grab these, kind of ball them up, put a strap around them. Or what I like to do is I'll just go around them and then top them out. I'm not taking them all the way down to the ground. I'm trying to take them down about 2/3. So I'm going to bring them down right into here. right, so what I like to do is I like to trim these back, like I said, about 2/3 of the growth off of them, getting them right here. Once I really start to get into the green is where I stop doing my pruning, and then that way when the new growth starts to come out in the spring, you still have this nice full bottom edge as the tops come in. You know, mark at a good point. In case you have some spots that die out through it, it'll still look nice and full, and all the shoots will kind of bloom out and kind of even itself out nicely. Another upsell I like to offer for our clients that we put on annual contracts in January and February is coming in and doing selective pruning on their trees. And then what we're just trying to do is raise the canopy. On a smaller tree like this, we're just gonna take these lower hanging limbs, leaving the larger statured ones. And then on our larger trees, we're just taking basically the sucker limbs that we've been pruning, taking those off. And then if there's any lower hanging limbs that are getting heavy in weight, we'll trim the ends off so they kind of raise up. Now, one example of a lower hanging limb that I would take off, so I'm raising these up to the main trunks, but I have this limb that's hanging down right in here. I'll come in here and trim it off. One thing to keep in mind when you're pruning trees and crepe myrtles is that knuckle or that crown that you're looking for, that you'll prune just outside of it. The crown is actually designed so that the tree can come in and heal itself, protecting it. No need for that nasty tar black stuff to come in here and spray on it. It's just a mess. Prune your tree right, it'll heal right, you're good to go. All right, next thing we're gonna talk about is crepe murder. And so we're gonna get a chainsaw, we're gonna cut these things off at the ground and let them grow back next year. I'm just kidding. Get our little hand pruners. What we wanna do is, this is our main stock, and then we have some other significant limbs that are growing off of it. This crepe myrtle's been in here, I think 2 seasons, going on 3. And so what we wanna do is we're just gonna take a lot of the sucker limbs off of it. We didn't do any pruning last year really, and so we're just gonna start to take all of these sucker limbs off of the base and coming up the stalks and leaving the main form of the tree, because I want this to grow taller and more full. I'll show you on some larger stature crepe myrtles, one I pruned back last year and one that I didn't. When I got my gloves, I'm gonna use my hands to snap a lot of these smaller ones off, and just clean the trunk off, popping the limbs off as I go, just going up it. And then I'm gonna use my hand pruners to go in and snip some of the larger ones. I'm gonna start by getting all of these around the base cleaned up so I can actually find the good solid trunks and then start working my way up them. This is a service that we like to offer in February. So January, we've done our ornamental grasses. We come in February, and now we're offering our crepe myrtles. And this just allows us to continue to capitalize on a service with our annual contracts. So there's something now in the month of February that we're offering that we didn't go ahead and get done in October, November, or December. So what I'm trying to do, like I said, guys, I'm trying to take all the little sucker limbs off the main trunks of the tree. I'm trying to get rid of all the dead limbs as I'm doing this as well. And then what I want this to do is I want this crepe myrtle to grow up to be more of the tree stature. And so when you're pruning crepe myrtles, there's 3 different ways that you can prune them. 1, by just taking the sucker limbs off and raising the canopy. 2 would be coming in here and topping them out, what a lot of people call crepe murder. And so just going down below the knuckles and topping them out and then cleaning up, leaving individual trunks. And then that's gonna give you more of just the growth to come out and up. But then if you would actually take the time and come in and selective prune some of these at an angle on your outside edges, it's gonna give you more of that canopy and that bloom to the outside edge. This crepe myrtle was a victim of crepe murder. I think along with doing a transplant late season, coming in here and topping this out because it had a lot of dead limbs in it, and then just not getting a whole lot of water or nutrients, that's what happened this past year. This is all we got out of 1 season of growth for a crepe myrtle, which is absolutely insane. So what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna do any pruning on this one this year, and I wanna see how it does next to one of these over here that I didn't do any pruning to. Y'all are gonna have to wait a full year to see what happens. We'll come back to this one then. Over here, so this is another crepe myrtle that I transplanted at the same exact time that I didn't do any pruning to. And we saw probably about 24 to 36 inches of growth this past season and a lot of foliage. Not a whole lot of blooms, it was just a real quick bloom. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do some very little selective pruning down around the bottom, cleaning up some of those sucker limbs on all of these. I'm gonna pour the water to them this next summer, hit them with fertilizer, and just see how these do. Okay, so once we finish up our tree pruning and our crepe myrtle pruning, what I like to do is come in and start freshening up our beds with mulch. I like to use a dyed cedar mulch. This lasts 3 to 5 years. It's a lot better than the dyed hardwood that we used to have to replace every year. The one upsell I have seen in using the dyed cedar though is being able to offer them coming in and spraying a dye on their beds. And what dyeing allows us to do is be able to freshen up the beds without coming in and putting another layer of mulch on, which just makes it start to stack and get thicker and thicker inside the flower beds. Best of luck to you. Thanks for checking it out. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow.